Hey you guys, welcome to Ignite 2.0, the Vodcast by young adults for young adults. My name is Tamia.
And I'm Josiah.
And we're the hosts of Ignite 2.0.
2.0. You might be wondering what Ignite 2.0 means.
So we basically feel that Ignite 2.0 is the next stage of our journey. We are both members of Crenshaw Christian Center.
Exactly. We have been part of the team ministry for several years. And what we do here is we live Christ, love people, teach people, and we inspire others to do the same.
Yeah, so now that we're no longer teenagers, we have matured into young adults. We're basically still trying to figure out the developmental changes and experiencing new things in life, especially as Christian young adults. And we feel that that's elevating us into Ignite 2.0. Right. So our goal here is to talk about topics that the everyday young adult may struggle with or, come across as an issue. So today we're talking about something so sensitive to a few people, and that is family dynamics.
Right. And when we say family dynamics, we mean the regular interactions that happen between family members. This can include relationships, communication styles, roles, and behaviors. These dynamics can be positive or negative, and they change over time.
Right. So some families, they have parents that are, helicopter parents, over authoritative. Mm-hmm. And then we have some that unfortunately could be uninvolved. And then you have siblings that are super competitive. Some are best friends. You have dysfunctional families. You have healthy families. You have so many different dynamics and things like that. So my question to you is, how is your family dynamic?
So I grew up in a single parent household. I have a big brother who is 16 years older than me. I have a big sister who is 15 years older than me, Michael Aaron. Mm-hmm. Then I have Leani, who's 6 years older than me, and then there's me. I'm the baby of the family. Growing up, seeing all of my siblings do what they do, it was really like a learning experience. Like, I learned to observe.
Right.
Because I would see my brother, my sisters do something, and then I see my parents get on them, and I'm like, oh, don't do that.
Don't do that, yeah.
Don't do that. And then, just looking up to my big siblings, and they really played a big role. They showed me the way. I really appreciate that about them. Right. And they still have my back to this day. Like, it's still a strong, very strong connections, a very close-knit. My father, he was, they got divorced when I was young, so I didn't really get to see them together. But what I can say about him is no matter what, he's always there for me. I can always call him, talk to him.
Right.
He did not abandon me. So, that's how my family was growing up. There was a lot of different kinks that we had to work out just because of different personalities.
Yeah.
My brother had a child when I was 8, so that was another family member in the family plus Michael's mom. Mm-hmm. So that was 2 more people in the family. Mm-hmm. So, and we all living together. So it was definitely a learning experience, right. And a great learning experience. Growing up with them. What about you though?
Well, for me personally, I am the only child. I don't have any siblings.
So polar opposites.
Yeah, polar opposites. So my parents, I don't know when they got married. I hope they ain't watching this. But I think they got married in 97, so I believe 25 years.
That's awesome.
Yeah, so I don't know. For me personally, I have my pros and cons about being the only child because I have I kind of get everything that I want. Yeah.
Right.
And then I also have if I want somebody to hang out with, my friends are busy. It's just me. So I feel like for me, it's taught me a lot of just being to myself. And that kind of shows in my personality now. Like, I'm very to myself, very reserved unless somebody speaks up towards me. As far as my mom's side of the family, very active, very loud, very flamboyant, polar opposite of me. I'm just like my dad. I'm very quiet. I'm very reserved. Yeah. I'm a loner. I'm to myself. I look just like my dad. Yeah. I look nothing like my mom. So the genes on my dad's side run real heavy, which I love. I love looking like my dad. But yeah, so family dynamics for me, they're not very typical. And that's something that I've learned because I have a lot of people, a lot of friends that don't have similar families like me, like different things that go on in their families that may not go on in mine and vice versa. So it's definitely interesting, like talking to people who have like polar opposite family dynamics.
Right. So, everyone has a different experience growing up, and sometimes it may be hard to deal with. Today, we're going to talk about obedience, patience / avoiding strife, and staying connected to your family.
Yeah, those are right on point. Honestly, just thinking about one that we didn't even mention, conflict. You have a lot of conflict when it comes to families, especially the connection of two families, whether you have like mom's side and dad's side. You got a lot of differences. Like my mom's side is polar opposite from my dad's side. You can have some strife within immediate family and like things of that sort. So definitely real good topics.
When we come back, we'll have a special guest. But before we get into that, we have a video from one of our viewers that talks about strife and conflict, as our co-host just brought up. Let's see what he has to say.
What's going on, everybody? How you guys doing? My name is Io Digi. You guys can call me Io for short. I'm from Yonkers, New York. I'm the second born of 4 kids, and I come from a single-parent household. The best way of dealing with conflict is by, 1, trying to attack the wrongful action rather than attacking the person. When you attack the person, it feels like you're obviously attacking them, and now their guard is up and they go into defense mode, and they just shield themselves. So now anything you try and say to them, it's not going to get through because they're just going to try and protect themselves. So now it just becomes this big argument or big whatever, and you guys are just going back and forth. I feel like another way of dealing with conflict is by not sweeping it under the rug, right? Because when you sweep conflict under the rug, it's only so much conflict that's going to be able to fit under there, and until you just explode. So I feel like not sweeping it under the rug and addressing it as soon as it happens, and it also allows for that wrongful act or that wrongful thing not to be repeated again. And another way of dealing with conflict would be to not hold grudges. As a kid, when I was growing up with 4 siblings, there's always going to be conflict, and there's always going to be something. But like, I would usually hold grudges and be like, I'm not talking to you today, or nah, you're not watching your channel on the TV or whatever. I would just be angry and hold on to it rather than talking to them or working it out. But yeah, those are the ways I deal with conflict.
So our goal is to.
It's all good. It's all good.
That was smooth.
It was smooth.
Hey you guys, welcome back. Today on Ignite 2.0, we're talking about family dynamics and how that shapes you as a young person in your relationships and communication with others and your roles and behaviors.
Our viewer submission for this show talked about their family experience. They talked about sweeping your feelings under the rug, avoiding strife, and not holding grudges.
Yeah, honestly, he was right on point. Everything that he said, just talking about conflict and how you shouldn't sweep things under the rug. Just saying like you can explode, all that like suppression and things like that. Exactly. So you definitely don't want to hide anything. Communication is key when it comes to family. Just making sure that like, okay, if something's wrong with the person, like talk to them, communicate with them, and things like that. So he was right on point, everything that he said.
Right. One of the things that comes up in our family dynamics is obedience. How obeying your parents and those in authorities will benefit your life.
Right.
Man, my man Io has some great points. But without further ado, let's bring in our special guest, Julian Dixon. What's up, man?
Hey.
How you doing?
Good.
So, Io made 3 main points. He said dealing with conflict correctly, sweeping feelings under the rug, and holding grudges. So, can you explain for our viewers what your family life was like growing up?
Well, I only have one brother, so he's like 10 years older than me, so we didn't really get into it like that. It was more fun, and he's just teaching me like how to grow up and things to do, like how to act. So it wasn't really no like conflict between us. And then my dad always kept it like, "That's your brother. You gonna love him. Like you gonna love him. That's your brother. Y'all one together. Like y'all gonna be one together." And yeah, it was never conflict. So I don't really have nothing to comment about the conflict. But yeah, it was always smooth for me and my brother, and it still is now to this day. So
Right, that's awesome that that you guys had an understanding like that. How do you think your father telling you and implementing that in your mind that you're going to love your brother unconditionally? How do you think that that shaped you into the person that you are in your life?
That's a good question. Basically, you know, like when my dad was telling me when we were younger, like you're gonna love each other. It wasn't like nothing new for me. Like it wasn't new. Like it was just in me. I was just a loving person. Like I knew like that's my brother. I'm gonna always be down for him. And now, like I have brothers like you. This my if y'all don't know, this is my brother too. Like,
for real.
That's my brother. You feel me? It's unconditional love. Like I'm down for him. Whatever he want to do, I'm gonna do. I just feel like that's how it makes me as a person. Like I'm just down for my brother. Like,
Right.
You feel me?
Exactly.
It's
That
always,
loyalty.
Yeah, it's love there. It's always gonna be love there.
Right. So, you know, whatever our family dynamic was growing up, we had to listen to our parents. So, Tamia, why do you think obedience is so important in the household?
That's a good question. That brings me back to Exodus 20:12, where it says, "Honor your father and mother, that your days may be long upon the land which the Lord your God has given you." Now, just hearing that scripture, it's like you hear your parents tell you that so much. We done heard so many teachers, like us going to school together. We done heard so many teachers like, "You're supposed to honor your father and mother." It's like, okay, we understand. But when you take the time to actually get that versus like you may not, God didn't say always agree with your father and mother. God said honor them. So it's not like you guys aren't gonna bump heads. Like God is understanding. He knows y'all are gonna bump heads. He knows you're gonna bump heads with your family. He didn't put you in your family so that you guys can always be on point with everything, but honor them in the midst of that. You know what I mean? So it's just like when dealing with conflict, we can't suppress things. We gotta communicate it. Like invite that person over. Don't just be texting somebody else in the family like, "Hey, I can't believe what they did to me." Like, no, like invite the person over. "Hey, I didn't like that you did this. I didn't like that you did that," and just sort that out. And I believe that is something that we're missing in a lot of 2023 family dynamics going on nowadays, and that just produces a lot of drama that you really don't need.
Right, I understand what you're saying about bumping heads. I feel like when you get older, especially as a man, and being with your mom, so like your mom, they don't know how to raise like a man. It's because the man needs to raise a man, right?
Right. Yeah.
Right.
So you're gonna bump heads with certain things, and I think that we're bumping heads because our mother wants the best for us. She wants the best for us, and then we're thinking we have our own opinion and our own thoughts.
Yeah.
So it's like a fight, and our mother doesn't know how to be a man, so she doesn't know like the real thoughts that's coming into our head.
Yeah.
So I feel like you said with the scripture, we have to honor our parents because at the end of the day, our parents are trying to do the best for us.
Right. And honestly, just speaking like from a female perspective, like me and my dad, like we're close, like we're very tight. But there are certain things that my mom may understand more that my dad doesn't. And for him, it may be like, for me, it may look like he's trying to restrict me, but it's honestly just him protecting me, just like you said, because he may not understand from a female perspective. So you honestly have conflict like that where the family dynamic might be a little off, like especially when you turn 18. I don't know if like that was y'all's personal story, like when y'all turn 18. Yeah. So it's like, you have things like that you got to work out. And like, I've never personally had to do it, but I know where people would have to go up to their dads and be like, "Okay, you got to chill out a little bit. Like, I'm a young woman, yeah, things are changing, but like, don't worry. Like, as long as you're rooted in God, you got your identity in Christ, family dynamics should be good."
Right. And I think a big point to that is it says honor your mother and your father. It don't say honor your mother and your father until you're 18.
Right, yeah.
Like, as young adults, we think once we turn 18, like, now we know everything, we good, we out in the world. Nah, we got to have an ear for our elders even more. Because, like I said, in another episode, everything is on us now.
Right.
You know, there's no more juvenile, there's no more minor.
Right. They
no
know
Yeah.
that adulthood. They already been in that adulthood, so now they giving us the gems for the adulthood.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Just like
honestly.
they give us the gems for the childhood. Like,
Exactly.
nah, I feel that.
And eventually, all of us are going to have to deal with disagreements, no matter what.
Mm-hmm.
And one of the Christian values that helps us is patience. And patience helps us avoid strife.
Yeah.
So how important is having patience with your family, especially you with your mom, you with your dad, because there's different perspectives, of course.
I have to have a lot of patience. I'm not gonna lie, me and my mother. And my mother knows she's probably gonna be watching this. We get into it all the time. So it's like because it's like it's a man and a woman. So of course we're gonna bump heads like consistently. For me, I have to keep my patience with my mom and watch my mouth because, like you said, we gotta honor our parents. That's still my mother. At the end of the day, she might be getting on my nerves or might be going crazy on me, screaming at me like. And I want to react in a certain way, but I have to keep that patience and understand, like, in that moment, my mom is just frustrated and she just wants the best for me. Like I was saying earlier, she just wants the best. And sometimes, with that patience, you just got to say, you're getting into it with your parent, you guys just need to step away from a second. Don't even, like, all right, mother, all right, we arguing.
We're both hot right now.
We're not getting to agreement. So we need to step away. You feel me? That's time. That's patience.
Right.
Have your time away and then come back when you're calm down.
And actually communicate.
Right.
Yeah, I wholeheartedly agree with both of y'all because even with me and my parents, honestly, my mom too, like I know she's gonna be watching. She knows.
Mm-hmm.
But there are certain things that like even with me doing what I do for God, like that as a young adult, you know, she may be like, well, I don't want you to do this or, you know, be careful. And it's like, while I may not agree on certain occasions, like I still got to take that advice because she's been there. You know what I mean? Like she's been through some things and so has my dad to where they can understand like, okay, you may not want to take that route. Like we get that you're supposed to do this and that, but you may not want to take that route. So it's very important. Like even if I get irritated, because I'll get irritated and I'll just walk away and, you know, like just ignore the whole situation. I'm not very good with confrontation, but you got to be, communication is key. Like if you're having an issue, you got to talk it out. Because if you don't, then you're going to mess around and have like underlying problems with your family. And that's not what you want.
Here's a scripture that I like to use that helps me with patience. James 1:19. So then, my brethren, let every man be swift to hear, slow to speak, and slow to wrath. What does that mean to you, bro?
Well, like my folks told me growing up, you got 2 ears and 1 mouth for a reason. You need to listen more than you speak.
Right.
And when you listen and when you're talking, you can't hear nothing.
Exactly.
So you need to listen more than you speak so you can be slow to wrath in your heart.
Right.
Yeah, that's very true. And honestly, I find sometimes like growing up, I'll kind of have just a tiny bit of an issue with that because I may disagree on a whole nother level and I'm just so ready to say what I want to say. But like it says in God's word, like your words have so much power. And you got to deal with what comes after that. You have to deal with the fruit of what comes after that. So if you and your family's relationship is messed up because of what you said, you ain't got nobody to blame but yourself. So just like I said, like you got 1 mouth, 2 ears, like listen. And you may not agree, but it's so much power in just saying okay. Like I've really learned that. Just say okay and walk away, and you'll handle so much family conflict better that way.
Right.
Just saying okay.
I feel like I was saying earlier, like about arguing. If you're arguing, it's just straight anger. Just anger.
Right.
Now you're mad, so you're not even thinking right.
Mm-hmm.
So like that person or your parent, they're trying to fix something that they think is wrong or something. You're going in the wrong direction. So maybe you should just sit back and listen to them. You don't have to agree at that time and place,
Right.
but you can listen to them and come back. Like I said, come back and have another conversation with your parent.
Mm-hmm.
Exactly. In Proverbs 17:1, it says, better is a dry morsel with quietness than a house full of feasting with strife.
Good,
So, like you said, sometimes we just need to be quiet, separate, and then come back and reconvene.
Exactly.
Proverbs 17:14 also says, the start of strife is like releasing water. Therefore, stop contention before a quarrel starts.
Yeah, that's really good.
So what that means to me is if you know See, I'm the youngest, and I was the pest of the family. So I knew that putting on certain hats or clothes would anger my brother, or putting my sister stuffed animals and dolls a certain way would anger her. And so little things like that would cause strife, you know. That's a little minor example, but when the strife started, it kept going. They got angry. I started saying, it's not a big deal. I was just playing. And it took a long time for us to stop being mad at each other. But all that, like I said, it's a minor example. But if you just do the work early, avoid the strife, avoid the whole situation, you won't even go down that road. So what does Proverbs 17:14 mean to you guys?
Man, in all honesty, like just controlling your mouth, you know, controlling your actions. You don't always gotta nitpick at every little thing. And you know, my mom and dad, they kind of make fun of me because there are times where, you know, I'll kind of get in my mode and I'll just go in my room and I'm just quiet the whole time. I close the door and they like, oh, Tamia got an attitude again. Like, you know, something's wrong with her. And I'm like, bro, leave me alone. Like, I'm good. But I got to control that, because it's like, if something irritates me, I don't have to say it in an irritating, like in a loud and rude and disrespectful manner to get my point across that I didn't like what you said. Like, just deal with whatever you're arguing about or disagreeing about, and y'all can just squash that right there.
Right. A lot of times in our journeys as young adults, you know, we're trying to find out who we are as a person. We're exposed to a whole new world. You know, we have a whole new list of responsibilities. And sometimes we find ourselves kind of drifting away. Like, I went to school in the state of Vermont, which is 3,200 some miles away from Los Angeles, where I was born and raised. And I was going through things out there, and I found myself not talking to my family at all. Like, my mom's calling me like, I haven't heard from you in however long. My sisters, whoever, you know. And I think it's important that we stay connected, because that's where we're from. That's our family is our why. You know, like you said, the Bible instructs us to have a family, to, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So I think it's extremely important that we stay connected and rooted to our family.
I believe that too.
Yeah.
For me, I know you play basketball too. We both play basketball. So being away, like on the weekends, I would have times where I go to church. My dad would go to church, and my whole family would go to church, and then my dad would take my family out. My mom wasn't there because my parents were separated, but it's fine. It's been like that for years. So, but just having that time with my dad and my sister-in-law, my brother, and my nephews, my niece, it's just like, just sitting there. Some days I'll just sit there and just like, wow, like, this is what I'm doing this for. Like, I'm doing it for them. Like, this is what I go outside and I wake up for it. You know,
Exactly.
Like, I just love that feeling of being around them. Like,
very fulfilling.
It makes me feel good, and it makes me want to have a family too. And like, you know, everybody has problems in their family,
right?
And it's just teaching me things that like I want to change for when I create my family.
Exactly.
And staying connected, I feel like it's very important. It makes you feel like, it gives you that drive. Like, okay, I know. Oh no, my mom and my dad, they got my back. Like, they know what I'm trying to do right now. Like, my purpose, what I'm going for. They got my back 100%. Like, they don't care. They are never gonna think I'm gonna fail. Like, you feel me?
Right.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah, I agree with you guys. Honestly, when I was in Arizona, for me personally, this year has been probably the toughest year for me. Just a huge workload. This past semester, I had 7 classes. You know, I'm going to class from 7 in the morning to 8:30 at night. I'm not getting no sleep. I'm having to pray, you know, and just do the will of God at the same time. And there will be days like my dad, he works at night. So, you know, I thank the Lord for it, because I know that God literally equipped my dad to be able to handle, you know, whatever God has placed on me. So I will call my dad late at night at work, like 2 a.m. in the morning, just like telling him the things that I'm going through, what I'm dealing with, if I'm having panic attacks and stuff like that. And he'd just be able to help me through all that. So, man, like, just like y'all said, I probably would not have handled any of the things I was going through well if I did not have my family. Like, it just wouldn't work. It wouldn't work. So it's very important to honor them, not because you necessarily agree with them, but because you almost couldn't do it without them. Like, that's why God placed them in your lives.
Right. And on the other spectrum of staying connected, sometimes there are family members that you fall out with, and in the Bible, it instructs us to love. So like in the parable of the lost son, is that what it's called?
Prodigal son.
The prodigal son. The brother came back, and the brother said, "How come he gets all of this?
Right,
I've never left your side." But the father said, "No, your brother was dead. Now he's alive again." So that just means that, all right, we fell out, bro, but we still got love. God is love. So we got to remember staying connected is also reconnecting as well.
For sure. We've been doing a great job. We've been getting into some real deep conversations. So when we get back, we're going to talk about different family dynamics and how to handle that in the context of Christianity. So, Julian, you trying to stay with us?
Of course.
For sure.
Bet.
All right. We'll see you guys then. Especially in social media nowadays, that we don't know what patience is. We don't know how to just take our time. Good things. Always cut when I say something.
Welcome back, young adults, to the Ignite 2.0 Vodcast. So today we're talking about family dynamics. And no family is perfect, and each family has different aspects, expectations, and traditions that they partake in. So we're going to get into those. As you already stated, you come from a single home and you're a single child. So
yeah, I come from a single home, but it was just me and my mom. But I'm not gonna leave my dad out. My dad has literally always been there since I've been born. He's literally always been there. Like, my dad's a key part in the way I am, the way I act. Like,
shout out to Pops, for real.
Shout out to Pops, man. I was born. I was born with my parents when they were together. So then they separated around middle school. When that happened, I didn't even know, you feel me? I didn't know how it was gonna affect me, but it affected me in school. Like, my grades, I stopped focusing on school, and I was just focused on having fun, and just I was trying to find that fun somewhere else because I didn't have that. My parents, you feel me, being together. Now I'm just realizing that as I got older. So, but I don't feel like it affected me badly. I feel like I got over that because my dad and my mom, they used to try to co-parent together and try to keep that family dynamic there.
Yeah.
So I know what it's like being around my mom and my dad, and they can be cool together even though they're not together. They can still be cool, and raise me as a child.
Right. What about your family dynamic?
Well, for me personally, I grew up with both of my parents married. They're still married to this day. Shout out to you guys. But yeah, my family, man, I don't even know where to start because, my dad and mom, they tell me all the time, and I'm just not realizing it. My parents gave so much to have me. I was supposed to be born, I think they started having me in 97, and I wasn't born until 2002. So they gave everything to have me, and man, I don't know where I'd be without them. I genuinely desire to have that same drive as they do. So our parents, they affect us whether they realize it or not, because it's I be trying to be just like my parents. I want that drive, I want that mentality. It's go time. I'm willing to sacrifice what I got to do to make sure that we keep this thing close knit. I love being close to my parents. My dad is my best friend. We joke, we laugh all the time. Me and him are exactly alike. And me and my mom are best friends too. I love her so much. But yeah, they're the reason why I'm doing this, the reason why I still have the drive to do it. And yeah, it's definitely a lot of respect goes towards them.
Hey, I don't want to leave out my mom. I love you, Mom. I love you, Dad. I don't want to you mad at me.
Right. Gotta get it in. Man. But my family dynamic, like I said earlier, I grew up with 3 other siblings. My mom, like you said, shout out to my dad. You was always there. You was there for me mentally. I would not be the man I am without my dad, for sure. But my mom is superwoman. Took care of all of us. I don't even know how sometimes. Yeah. Shout out to my big brother too. You raised me, made me the man I am, for sure. But that was really it. Like I said, my big brother is 16 years older than me. So when I was like becoming like 2, 3, you know, when you start getting your personality and stuff, he was already in college, almost 20, you know. So it was like having, like it was dad / big bro, you know. It was different. Same thing with Erin. Erin is so nurturing and so emotionally intelligent. Like that was her role. That's the thing about a big family. Everyone got their role. You know,
for sure.
My brother disciplined. Erin was emotionally intelligent. Leani was creative and enthusiastic. You know, and me and her kind of the same. You know, we're the
We are close.
right.
Yeah.
Like age group close.
Exactly. So and then me, like I said, I was just the observer, and I really just followed their footsteps. Like my swag right now is my big brother swag. I started growing out my hair because of my brother. Like literally literally everything.
Right.
I
understand that.
So that was our family dynamic. Just those different type of roles, and it's still the same for real. It's cool. It's like having growing up with your best friends.
For real.
Yeah.
And now that we're older, it's like, come on, now we really friends.
Right, for real. Talk about anything.
Right.
Hey, but how has that been? Like, you know, when you turn 18, you can, maybe not just your mom or your pops, like maybe your uncle, some big cousins. How has that been? You being able to talk to them about anything.
It's a lot different.
They tell me tell me more things that I didn't know when I was a child. Like, you feel me? They tell you stuff that was going on.
Right.
Like it's interesting to learn about, and it's interesting to learn. Like I talked to my dad about certain things, like how he was when he was younger, because I'll be trying to figure out why I act the way I act.
Right.
And like he telling me stories like how he used to act, and I'm relating to him like, dang, that's why I act like that. Like,
exactly.
I'm just like you, man. Like,
exactly. And there's power in that, like knowing that you're a reflection of your family.
Right.
You know, like it makes you feel, it's a fulfilling feeling.
Yeah, you feel
know,
happy. It's happy.
Exactly.
Like, okay, cool. This is, and it like we were talking about on our previous show, dating is like you know who you are.
Yeah,
right.
You're figuring out who you are. Like,
yeah.
So I agree with you, bro.
Yeah.
So before you can have patience with others, you must have patience within yourself.
So I wholeheartedly agree with that. You know, as young adults, we get so hungry. Just my personal experience, I be wanting to chase my dreams so fast that we don't realize genuinely what patience is, and we don't let patience have its perfect work. And, you know, that just causes a lot, you know, within ourselves that we got to take care of.
Yeah, it can cause definitely a lot of frustration, and that frustration can build up, and if you're holding it in, it can build up, and then ultimately you can bring it out on your family, and you don't really want to have that. That's how the strife comes.
Right.
Especially when they don't even deserve that feeling.
Right.
Man.
Young adults, if you're under somebody else's roof, you need to abide by their rules. Sometimes we butt heads with our guardians or whoever's in control of the household because we don't agree with their rules, and we feel like we're grown, but we must realize that we're still not paying the bills for this house. We're still we're still under their authority. So whatever their rules are, you must abide by them.
Right.
And if you don't like those rules, you need to work to go to a different living situation and make your own rules.
For real.
Yeah,
Facts.
I agree with that. Man, I don't know about you guys, but I've really been enjoying all of the information that we've been talking about, just hearing about you guys' personal family dynamics. You know, I've really just been enjoying this whole show as a whole.
Absolutely. I've been having a great time, learning a lot.
Man, I'm glad that I came on this one with y'all. We can talk about family.
Most definitely. And we are family. We grew up together.
For real.
So, we hope that you guys have enjoyed the Ignite 2.0 Vodcast for young adults by young adults. Now, if you want to be a part of Ignite 2.0, you can record your comments or questions and send your video clip to our Dropbox. Your clip may be chosen and aired on our show. For details, log on to the link on the screen. Tune in next week for our next episode of Ignite 2.0.
It's lit.
Hey.
Yo.